Welcome to the Moms I Know with Sheila Walsh-Denton and Maria Anderson-Farner. Two moms on a mission to reclaim childhood and take you from surviving to thriving on your parenting journey. The Moms I Know is your go-to source for motivation, inspiration, and resources, and real conversation about motherhood and parenting with intention. Thank you for being a part of our community. We hope you enjoyed this episode.
Intentional living means making choices for your life based on your greatest values, not the habits of others. Hi, this is Sheila.
And this is Maria.
And we want to welcome you to The Moms I Know.
What a perfect quote for this topic today, this idea of infusing intention into the holidays. I love that, especially around this, our own values, not the expectations of others, because this time of year can get so wrapped up in the expectations of others, especially when it comes to our kids.
Exactly. And along with that is the expectations, the consumerism, the excess, just all the things that make the holidays stressful. And I think right now in our world, we have enough external factors making life stressful. So with intention, let's make the holidays, let's make this time of year simple. Let's bring it back, dial it back, and, let's come up with some ideas of how we can simplify this time, but yet have it still hold meaning and be special.
We've recorded so many episodes on kind of this idea of, really, home is where the heart is, and making the holidays special and reducing consumerism. But this year especially, with COVID-19, we're now, months and months and months into this. Our lives have been upended in so many ways. We've just had this, huge election and still waiting to see how this is all going to play out. And I think people are just continuing to get deeper and deeper into stress and upheaval and kind of this, worry about the future. And so here we are trying to, head into Thanksgiving and Christmas and winter solstice and however your family celebrates this time of year, festivals of light, all of these types of things with this additional stress. So I really, I think both of us thought deeply about today in terms of looking at this in ways that we can bring the joy in to our lives and our homes and try to let go of some of that stress. And I don't know about you, Sheila, but for me these days, of course, with the shorter days, the longer nights, the cold weather, the grandkids are gone at this time of year this year. And so I've really been trying to focus on what I'm grateful for in such deeper ways. And so this idea of focusing on gratitude and generosity, I think, is really, really important. So how do we foster that within our homes, within our families, with our children to start out with?
And that's a great place to start. And it could be when you're on a hike. It could be when you're at the dinner table. It could be before you go to bed. It could be when you wake up. But it's literally just asking yourself or asking your loved ones, what are you grateful for? And you can journal about it. You can just orally say what you are grateful for. Excuse me, my husband and I started doing this about a month ago, more with intention, just before we went to bed, because we were kind of hitting a rough spot. But it was just yet how grateful we are for what we do have. And that's the piece of being intentional.
And when we look around the world and see, how COVID-19 is just, ravaging whole communities and how people are dealing with things in such different ways. And, here in America, so many of us have so much to still be grateful for. And so then we can also tune in this idea of generosity. How can we give? How can we reach out to people in need? And so we can do it locally within our own communities. We can do it on a more global scale. And this is something that we've always talked about at the holidays, choosing a cause that is important to you, involving your whole family in this, and then reaching out. And another way, especially for families that aren't going to be together for these holidays. And that's a big change for many of our listeners, where we're used to at least coming together and having these family celebrations. And now I think there are going to be more and more people that are isolated, that are having a very different type of holiday. And so another thought that I had was that we can be sharing with letters and notes and recordings. We can be doing the Zoom calls with family, and we can be thinking about it in a slightly different light. And so this is something that I had done years ago. I had written a list to my parents of, my 10 favorite memories with my dad, my 10 favorite memories with my mom, things that I'm thankful for, things that I appreciate that they have done for me. And, we could do this with any family member. And so, it might be a beloved auntie or a friend or something like that. But we can involve our children in these types of activities where we could be reaching out and sharing our love, our generosity, our gratitude for other people.
I love that idea of writing the letters. I was thinking of having my children actually write letters to their grandparents and their great aunts and great uncles and aunts and uncles and stuff. Just because of that, it's a touchstone, So I love that.
Yeah. And I can't believe I'm actually doing this, but I'm going to be doing a weekly storytelling on Zoom with the grandkids. And, of course I don't advocate for a lot of screen time, but I figure, well, that might be, a really appropriate use. And so if I'm telling a story or reading a story and, it's once a week, kind of a special treat. And so these connections. And then of course I love receiving, artwork, paintings. One of the families is really into Little House on the Prairie right now, and they're doing drawings, and I can't wait to get those and see those. And so lots of ways that we can stay connected. So this whole idea of connection, I think that's what the holidays is all about. It's, of course, the gratitude, the generosity, the giving, the thinking of each other, but it's all around connection. So what are ways that we can connect with each other, even though we may be a little bit apart?
Well, I think, like you said, the letters, the Zoom, the video calls are all going to be great ways to connect. I think you can connect with your community by experiences, and that's the sense of basic, enjoying nature, where you can see your neighbor. It is also seeing if there's any places that you can volunteer safely with COVID and everything, but are there places that you can make things from home and then donate to sell to fundraise money or something like that. I know some places are still having some craft fairs and stuff like that. So how can you support that? Another big one, and this is kind of something that I'm seeing popping up a lot on my social media, is the importance of buying local, especially this year, as I see my friends' shops shutting doors because they just can't do it anymore. It's a lot of sacrifice to own your own business. And if we can do our best to support our neighbors who own local businesses, I think that would be really great. And, I know Amazon is easy. I know you can be there the next day and everything, and it can deliver anyway. But think about calling that local bookstore. Think about calling that local plant shop, the local shops, because they can deliver too, or that you can do a pickup, or, it's like you have to do a little bit more, because yes, Amazon is easy, but it would be so much more meaningful if you were to support your local community. And I think you would feel better. I know when I buy local, it makes me feel better. It really does.
That's so huge. And I remember somebody asking, what if you were, to go to our local downtown, and what are those businesses that we would just be heartbroken to lose? So let's support them. And, I'm thinking of so many of the restaurants too, that we can do gift certificates and things like that. And so, yes. And then, I always come back to also this handmade or natural resources and that kind of a thing. And so we can be kind of looking at a combination of that. So shopping local, but also making so many of our own gifts with hopefully resources that are local. And so we've always done the nature table, which is so simple to do. And then, the wreath making, just going out and harvesting right around here. I was thinking about this, also these ideas of in sharing with our families. We've always talked this time of year about sharing poetry and memorization and recitation. And these are the kinds of things that we can encourage our children to do. They can memorize a poem, and then they can record it and share it with a family member. They can, do a poetry book and send that off. And so there's just all kinds of ways to just deepen the thoughtfulness that this time of year really is encouraging. us to kind of do.
Yes. And when we are thinking of gifts for our family members, maybe it's thinking of experiences rather than things. It's thinking of trips, maybe, next year, or something when things settle down, possibly some trips together or, excursions that can hold so much more meaning than just things.
I remember talking to somebody who said, when this is all over, how much fun it is going to be able to hug each other and to smile and be able to see our faces without our masks. And so, it's one of those things where, yes, this is challenging, but we can dig deep. We can look at how we can connect with each other in ways that are meaningful and relevant and encourage our children to really think about these things. Now, of course, include your children in the idea, in the brainstorming of all of this too. They'll probably be the greatest source of ideas. And so when we ask our children, what can we do this year to make it even more special? And we're not going to be able to go here or there, or we're not going to be able to do this. What are some of your ideas? And so the kids always come up with the most amazing ideas. And I think back on some of the gifts that we've made over the years that were hilarious and, a huge dud, and then other ones that have still withstood the test of time. And so, the making or the giving of games is another one. And then just the bringing back the family games nights if you haven't been doing those. And then also looking at an older-fashioned way of doing things. And I think of this in terms of this is age-old ideas throughout time. And children still love to do this, whether it's cracking nuts or popping popcorn or, roasting apples. These things that people have done for centuries. We can still do those, and the kids love to do these things.
They do. They truly love to be in the kitchen at this time, and it's really having you kind of have to let go a little bit and just go for it. I know I've loosened up a little bit in terms of just everything really. Just as the kids get older, you loosen up a little bit. It's so funny. But what I've noticed is really funny is that people are setting up for Christmas now. I don't know if you have noticed that, but people are setting up Christmas lights, Christmas trees, and everything because they want to fully enjoy the warmth of the season. And I think they're doing so with intention. They're doing so saying, "Hey, we're here and we are celebrating because we are grateful for our family. We are grateful for this holiday." So I think that's been really cool to see. I have to say though, our family, it's been a hard. I think I've said this before in the podcast, but it's kind of a rule that we don't start Christmas until December 1st because we have 2 birthdays in November, and to fully honor their birthdays, we keep November for birthday month, and then December we'll let December 1st we're out.
Right. Well, that's your family tradition, but I'm laughing because I have been seeing that all over town, and even before Halloween. And normally that just, if I go into a store and I see the displays, it's just like, wait, but that's the commercial aspect. And this year it just feels like, people need to celebrate. And so I noticed that all of the Halloween decorations this year were way more heartfelt and seasonal and just rich. And it was really sweet to see that. And now, definitely the holiday, the Thanksgiving displays, the harvest types of things. And then, yes, of course, Christmas is coming a little bit early. But I think, yes, everybody wants to hold on to that wonder of the season as long as they can. So I know my husband's been asking kind of every day, well, when should we turn the star on? Because we've got a big star out of little white lights on our barn. And, it's kind of like we've always waited till after Thanksgiving. And I thought it was funny that he's been asking, should we do it now?
I'm like, yeah, you should do that now.
Yeah, I think we need it. I think we do. Well, lots of ideas here to just kind of drop in. And like I said earlier, include your whole family in these preparations. Do some journaling around this. Think about what are the things that were most important to you as a child around the holidays. When we really tap into how they made us feel. Of course, we might remember a gift or two that we received, but, what were the key elements? What were the things that mattered most to you? And I think I shared this in an earlier episode, but one Christmas, my siblings and I, we all were sharing our favorite holiday memory. And what was so surprising was my brother and I had the exact same memory. And like I had shared it and he hadn't heard me share it. And then he shared, and it was just the smell of wood smoke in the Central Valley on the way home from one grandmother's on Christmas Eve. And I thought, that was so interesting that was the memory that was pivotal for both of us. And so, that smell of that time of year.
I love, this question was posed to us when I was in a co-op preschool, and my children were in preschool. And it was a way, because when you're in preschool, your children are a lot younger and everybody's there, you're kind of the same age, and I don't say newly married, but you've just started to have a family and you're thinking about your family culture. So the holidays are a good time to journal with your partner and to say, what do you want for the holidays? Like, what are your holiday memories that were meaningful to you? And then you share your own holiday memories that were meaningful to you. And then you're going to create your own, like, kind of family memory box or whatever. And then, so it's kind of interesting. I think taking that step further now that my kids are older would be really good to see, like, what were their favorite memories, holiday memories and stuff.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of expectation. A lot of people maybe didn't grow up with holiday cheer and stuff like that, where others were fully holiday cheered. I mean, for us, it was like we went to Christmas Mass, and that was always super special, midnight Mass, being able to stay up. I'm going to take a nap on Christmas Eve and staying up and going to midnight Mass. And, I think we did it to my kids once, but it wasn't as important to my partner because he didn't grow up that way. And now, so I know.
But sharing of those, and that's part of creating your family culture.
Mm-hmm.
This is a perfect time of year to do that. So thank you.
Exactly. The other piece that I want to bring up is just, the curiosity of other cultures. What do other cultures do to celebrate this time? And I know Thanksgiving, we definitely have different viewpoints. I have a book that's called a Native American's perspective on Thanksgiving, really bringing that up as well. It wasn't as peaceful as we think. And then going into, like, do we want to celebrate Kwanzaa, Santa Lucia Day, La Pasada, all of these special holidays for different cultures, I think is really important too. And we're going into geography and history and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. And that's key for, here in America, we have people from all over the world and all different cultures. And of course, the Native Americans that, were here and are still here. And so we want to make sure we are honoring all of those, that awareness. And it's also a great place to dive deeper into the study of all of these different cultures. And so it's fascinating. I'm laughing a little bit because in our family, we would start learning about them and then the kids would want to incorporate everything in. And so we had to be a little bit careful about, and I think we've talked about this in our podcast before, but it's like, be careful what you wish for. And so this is where it's important to include everybody and then say, okay, what are the key ones that we want to, because we could start celebrating every single holiday. And it was like every day in, October, November, and December is a holiday somewhere. And so. Right.
And the gift giving, the Dutch shoes, remember, and then you have Hanukkah, and then you have, it's always like, I think the kids, I know from my point of view, it was always like, oh, more gifts. Oh, more gifts, more gifts. Here we are, we're talking about less gifts, more experience. But you know what, like one of the things that I used to do with the kids were little, and I think I'm going to bring it back, is just the cooking, the baking, but of different cultures, doing the research and doing some of that certain baking of the breads, especially,
And the children love that. Another thing is to bring in the books from the different cultures. And so, we can be looking at really deepening our understanding of Native American cultures here in November. And I think that that's a really honoring way of spending, this time to be grateful for what we have, but also be aware of the different perspectives. And so we can be reading stories and learning more about the different Native American cultures. And then, heading into the end of November and December and looking at how people around the world, and there's great literature and wonderful picture books and stories. And so the children love to learn about all of the different ways that people celebrate around the world. I remember in the classroom, I had a little advent calendar, and each day it would, the children would open up a door, and it was how children celebrated this time of year in a different country. And so it was a fun educational thing, and the children always just loved hearing the different ways in which people celebrate.
Oh, I love that idea. Yeah, the Advent calendar. I think that's something that has really gone. It's a Catholic thing. Is it Christian? Do you know? I mean, it's Christian? Okay. I'm thinking the Advent wreath and everything like that. And you know, when I was little, it would be like just chocolate. You know, my mom would just buy one and it would be chocolate. Well, I got one that you had to, you could write out each thing that they did every day. And I would always fill it with, sometimes like, a poem, but then it would be like, make some orange juice. It'd be go do something nice for a neighbor, or you know, like specific things of action to do. So,
yeah, lots of different ways to look at that. And so we hope that these are ideas that will spur your creativity, that will spark some, initiatives within your own family and get the ideas flowing, because it is overwhelming right now, and we're acknowledging that, and it is hard, and yet we can just look at how we want to bring the holidays through the children's eyes. We always bring it back to think about it through the lens of your children, and how can we create this feeling of what we want for the holidays, even in the midst of coronavirus, lockdown, political unrest, and all of the other things. There's still so much to be grateful for. There is still so much to be hopeful for. And I think that that's the key to this time of year, is wonder and hope.
And the magic of the season. You know, I think we've done previous podcasts about the magic of the season, and that's it. It's just honor the magic, you know, and be sure to take care of yourself. The self-care piece is big, especially for mom, who often this falls on, you know, a lot of mom's job, to do all create the experiences, create the gifts, the meals, everything. But in this, moms, listen, is just like, you know, carve out some time for yourself. And sometimes that self-care is getting together with a friend. Sometimes it is taking the bath. Sometimes it is writing in your journal, reading a book. But do take care of yourself. This is permission. Give yourself permission to take care of yourself, because you are worth it, and we see you.
We sure do. So take care. Enjoy this special time, and just know that we're holding you all in our hearts.
Yes. Have a happy holiday season.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us today for The Moms I Know. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. To get the show notes and resources mentioned in today's episode, visit themomsiknow.com. For information on Maria's programs, visit thefutureoffamily.com. And for information on Sheila's programs, visit purplebeetfamily.com. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on iTunes, and follow us on Instagram at The Moms I Know Podcast. Until next time, have a joyful family journey.